Hello everyone, my name is Matthew and I'm going to share my testimony with you today. In 2018, I wound up having my lung collapse on me for the second time in my life, and it was pretty rough. So I wound up walking myself to the hospital, and after a few procedures got done, they wound up telling me that I had to get a quarter of my left lung removed from my body. And I referenced this with my mother because she works in the hospital that I got the procedure done in, and I asked her, "Mom, do I really have to get this procedure done?" And she told me, "Matt, you're in some really rough shape. Yeah, you have to get it done." So I adhered to what she said, and I wound up getting the procedure done. Right after my surgery, I wound up having extreme complications where they immediately moved me to the ICU. And I remember looking at the doctors and the nurses' faces at the time, and they were terrified. They didn't know what to do with me. And I remember looking at my mother and telling her, "Mom, they're gonna let me die." And she told me, "Matt, don't worry. I'm not gonna let that happen." And I told her, "Okay, I'm letting you know. I'm feeling it right now." They wound up making the call to move me to another hospital that my father and my stepmother work at. And while I was being transported in between hospitals in the back of an ambulance, I wound up slipping away and going to the other side. Medically, what was happening to me was I was taking in oxygen, no problem, because my O2 stats were okay. But my carbon dioxide levels kept rising every time I decided to take a breath. My body wasn't letting go of the carbon dioxide that was being retained inside my body. And this was poisoning my body and slowly killing me. So in the back of the ambulance, I wound up slipping away and going to the other side. And when I got there, I was being bathed in the most peaceful and warm sunlight. I remember getting there and thinking to myself, if this is what this is, we are good. We are so good. And when I got there, he also greeted me and he spoke to me and he said, "My son, I know you're tired. I know you want to rest. It's okay if you want to rest. You've done a lot in your life." And I responded, "You're right. I am tired. I do want to rest. And I have done a lot in my life. But I promised you I'd take care of my nephews." Quick sidebar, I've been helping raise two of my sister's kids for a very long time now, ever since they were babies, basically. So after I asked that question, he stayed silent. He didn't respond to me. And I took this as my interpretation as he's giving me grace. Because he could have said, "Hey, it's your time, come home." Or, "Hey, it's not your time, go back." But since I didn't know what was going to happen to my nephews, I told him I have to go back. Now, I got to ask him questions, and I got answers. And since you're going to view my story right now, I'm going to share some of my questions and some of my answers with you. The first question I got to ask him was, "Is there any coming back?" And he asked me, "What do you mean?" I asked, "When I die, will I come back as someone else or something else?" Because I was always curious. And it says, "Ask and you shall receive." So I asked. And he flat out told me, "No, there is no coming back." And that's when I responded, "Oh, I definitely have to go back then." The second question I asked him was about my life. I asked him, when I go back, is it going to be hard? Is it going to be difficult? Is it going to be painful? And he told me all the truth. He said, "Yes, it's going to be very hard. Yes, it's going to be very difficult. And yes, it's going to be extremely painful." Then he asked me, "You're going to go through things you've never gone through in your life. Are you still ready to go through them?" And to this, I took a moment before I responded. And then I answered. And then they said, "Yes." And why? Because I know you went through so much more for all of us. There's no reason why I can't go through what's to come next. I got to ask more questions, and I got more answers, but now's not the time for me to reveal them just yet. But at the end of it all, he looked up, and then he looked down at me, and he told me, "I'll see you again." And I said, "Okay." And that's when I woke up to the paramedic. She was screaming my name. She was like, "Matt, Matt, Matt." And I answered her with my eyes closed. I told her, "Don't worry, I'm still here." And she said, "I thought we lost you for a minute there." I told her, "You did." I went to the other side, and I got to speak to Jesus. Now, I went through a lot during that time. As soon as they delivered me to Jersey City Medical Center, I could hear the head nurse speaking over me with a whole entire team, and they were trying to decide what to do with me. And what wound up happening was the head nurse asked me, "Matt, do you know where you are right now?" And at first, I didn't have the strength to respond to her or answer her, so I didn't. And then she said something. She said, "See, he doesn't know where he is right now." And that struck a nerve with me. And I kind of sucked my teeth and went, "I know where I am." And she said, "Yeah? Where are you?" I told her, "I'm in Jersey City Medical Center. I just had lung surgery, and I'm dying. Please help me." And she responded, "Oh, he knows where he is right now." I spent the entire summer of 2018 in the hospital. My lung would not breathe on its own. They had to put another tube in the top part of my chest, and that finally alleviated my collapsed lung, and I could finally go home. It wasn't another about a year after of like me pushing myself and rehabilitating myself that I could get back to work and get back to life normally. And it was hard, but I know he told me all these things were going to happen to me, and I was going to be put in all these predicaments and positions. So I had to remain strong. I had to remain resilient, and I had to keep pushing through. I still had my nephews that were depending on me. Now, there's a lot more to my story, and there is like a part two and a prequel, if you will. But if you want to hear those, you have to seek me for them. I hope that whoever finds this video and whoever listens to the story, it helps you. And share it with other people for sure. We all need help sometimes.